Okay, Ben here again, and today we've got another read-along this time from CBR.com. 10 Nintendo games everyone should play at least once. Nintendo has created countless video game franchises, many of which every gamer should experience. So, let's go along and see if we agree with the list. Obviously, you can see Super Mario 64 right there, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land or Kirby Discovery there. So, did they make the list? Let's find out. Nintendo has been on top of its game since it became internationally recognized for the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong. While Nintendo released its first console, color TV game in 1977, it wasn't until 1983 that the video game company achieved considerable success due to the debut of the Family Computer Entertainment System, or Family Computer System. NES, Jesus. Okay, sorry. Just, check your facts, people. The NES was 1985. Thank you very much. Since the company's beginnings, many video game franchises have been created. People may recognize Mario, the plumber with the iconic red hat. Some may have never experienced his games. Additionally, people may be able to point out Mario, but are clueless about other Nintendo characters. Though innumerable Nintendo titles have been created, there are a few games players must try. Number 10. Super Mario 64 was a great introduction to 3D gaming. Yes, it was. First released for the Nintendo 64 in 1996, Super Mario 64 was the first of its kind to feature 3D gameplay in combination with an open world. The spectacular visuals, alongside the usual charm for a Mario title, convinced players to continue returning to this N64 game. Due to its popularity, Super Mario 64 was remade for the Nintendo DS in 2004. Additionally, the game was part of the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection for Nintendo Switch, along with Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Sunshine. Nine. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time sports the highest Nintendo Metacritic score. Highest Metacritic score of all games of all time. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time holds the record as the highest rated Nintendo game of all time, according to Metacritic. Released in 1998, Ocarina of Time is the 5th game in the Zelda franchise, and still the best. Like Super Mario 64, this beloved Zelda title also incorporated 3D graphics, a first for the franchise. Ocarina of Time is a common favorite among Zelda fans for its engaging storyline, despite the game's length. What are you saying? It's too short or too long? Okay. The Nintendo title has been re-released on every Nintendo home console since the iQ player in China? What? Ocarina of Time was remade for the Nintendo 3DS in 2011. Okay. No mention of the Z targeting, which has become a staple in practically every game since. Number 8. Pokemon Crystal was revolutionary for the Pokemon franchise. Okay. Any gamer should consider picking up a Pokemon title, whether new or old. Pokemon Crystal released for the Game Boy Color as the final game of Generation 2, after Pokemon Gold and Silver. Yes, so it's a derivative game of those two, but Crystal's the version to play. This title was the first time Pokemon players could select the sex of their character, or perhaps gender. Pokemon Crystal also included animated sprites for the first time, and a battle tower absent from previous titles. In addition to exploring the Johto region, players can travel to the Kanto region, the setting for the Generation 1 games. Now, personally, I think Ruby Sapphire were better games, but to each his own. Some people like Gen 4s too. Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. 7. Super Mario Brothers was where it all started. Although you did say Donkey Kong earlier, so... Super Mario Brothers is the 2D platformer that likely introduced many players to the franchise, mostly because it was bundled in an action set, but still a great game. First released for the Famicom in 1985, so you do know what a Famicom is. Super Mario Brothers is the successor to the 1983 arcade game Mario Brothers. Players can either control Mario or his brother Luigi in a multiplayer mode. That would be 2-player alternating mode. The sibling duo must complete several side-scrolling levels to save Princess Toadstool from King Koopa, later known as Bowser. Due to its sheer popularity, Super Mario Bros. Remains one of the best-selling video games of all time, with 58 million copies sold worldwide, again thanks in part to the action set. Number 6, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the best-selling fighting game of all time. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate serves as the 5th installment in the Super Smash Bros. Series. This Nintendo title released for the Nintendo Switch in 2018, 4 years after its predecessor, Super Smash Bros. 4, as in 4, Nintendo 3DS and Wii U. Released. Ultimate became the best-selling fighting game of all time with 28 million copies. Wow. Sold by March of this year. That's wild. In total, Super Smash Ultimate has a whopping 89 fighters on its roster. The fighters are either from previous Smash titles or new faces from either Nintendo or third-party franchises or Fire Emblem characters. In addition to the base game, several fighters and stages were added until October 2021. Okay, number 5, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe one-upped the previous title. In May 2014, Mario Kart 8 was released for the Wii U. Although a newly rebooted version of the game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe found its home on the Nintendo Switch in April 2017. The enhanced Nintendo title became the best-selling Switch game and is almost at 50 million copies, if you can believe it. I think it was 48.9 million in the latest report. And is also one of the best-selling video games of all time. Note that it's, well, I can't say it's not a packing game because all of the Black Friday bundles for like the last 3 years have included it, but throughout the Mario Kart series, players choose Nintendo characters to participate in kart races. There are various items to use to players' advantage to either boost their speed or hurt their opponents. Wow. I'm not saying it's not true, but that has to be the most simplified way to summarize Mario Kart. Yes. Number 4, Metroid Prime introduced players to a first-person perspective. Yeah, Metroid Prime serves as the 5th main installment. Okay, and you're gonna get into timelines and canon versus non-canon. We're not getting into all of that. It's the 5th main installment in the Metroid franchise. Let's just say 5th installment to avoid all the confusion. First released for the GameCube in November 2002, Metroid Prime was the first Metroid game to incorporate both 3D computer graphics and a first-person perspective, and was the perfect interpretation of how Super Metroid or a 3D Metroid should look. The combination of exciting gameplay and characters reimagined with high-tech graphics convinced new and old Metroid fans to pick up the title. Metroid Prime remains one of the highest-rated games on Metacritic, with various Game of the Year awards under its belt. In 2009, the game was remastered for the Wii, and I do believe, when I was doing research for it, the attach rate was the highest of any Metroid game for any console. Because the Game Boy sold... the GameCube sold 20 million consoles, I think. And this game sold around or just under 2 million copies, maybe 1.8. Again, this is a while ago. I haven't checked myself. But the attach rate was over, it was either 5 or 7%, which is great for a Metroid game. But yeah, that is definitely a must-play game. 3 out of 10. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is an open world staple. More like Skyrim with a Zelda skin. But anyway, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was a launch title for the Nintendo Switch back in March 2017. It was also the final Nintendo game for the Wii U, and it was held back from releasing on the Wii U in order to launch as the launch title for the Switch. If gamers are unfamiliar with open world titles, Breath of the Wild is a great place to start with its incredible visuals and countless hours of exploration. I do beg to differ. So among, weapon breaking notwithstanding, look at the lighting. This entire screenshot is washed out with the lighting that plagues actually many of the titles on the Nintendo Switch. Okay, so again, it may have been a first for Nintendo, but Skyrim did it in 2011 and they still did it better. But yeah, I thought it was just too big. Too boring. Not much to do. You run around. There's 900 Korok seeds. Nobody needs 900 MacGuffins to search for in a game. That's just ridiculous. Donkey Kong 64 had 1 million MacGuffins, and that's the biggest complaint in this day and age. Like I said previously, I just got done with my play of Arkham City, and there are 440 Riddler MacGuffins, if you include the Catwoman. It's just over the top. I'd rather spend my time playing a game than running around the game, searching every nook and cranny trying to get a collectible. Anyway, since its release, Breath of the Wild has received a spin-off game titled Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Do not get the Japanese version if you want English, by the way. Link's story doesn't stop there, as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is scheduled to release on May 12, 2023. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely take a wait and see on that approach. Wait and see approach for this game. But all I can say is they better have dungeons. How are you gonna have a Zelda game without dungeons? And like, you get some of the items of previous games, but the whole point of Zelda is to go through the dungeon. Maybe not in such a controlled or direct manner as Skyward Sword or some games. You go through the dungeon, you get the item, you use the item, and the items were just so limited. I mean, they focused way more on picking up random enemy weapons and stuff, and a massive inventory screen, and collecting a bunch of crap so you can craft stuff, or cooking. I can do cooking in real life. Why would I want to do cooking in a game? That's a no for me. 2 out of 10. Kirby fans really needed Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Boyo! Kirby and the Forgotten Land was everything Kirby fans needed and wanted at the same time. This 2022 Nintendo Switch title served as the 13th main installment in the beloved Kirby video game series. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was the first game in the series to feature full 3D graphics. Players must control Kirby alongside a new sidekick named Elfilin to rescue trapped Waddle Dees throughout the new world. I got every last one of them. In addition to the adorable Elfilin, Kirby can now transform into different mouthful modes, including a car and a vending machine. The cute visuals of these modes alone make Kirby and the Forgotten Land a must-buy. Okay, simple but effective. And number 1, oh for fuck's sake. Nothing can compare to the hype of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Gamers will never forget the cultural phenomenon of Animal Crossing New Horizons at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. This fifth main installment in the Animal Crossing series even replaced social interactions for events like wedding and graduation ceremonies. The game also broke the record for the most digital units sold in a single month. How do we know that, since Nintendo doesn't like to release digital sales figures? This Nintendo Switch title remains the second best-selling game for the console. In this Animal Crossing entry, players must transform a deserted island to a crowded paradise by paying off their tremendous debt from the loan shark known as Tom Nook. I hate that guy. Its customization options and added DLC updates keep players coming back to their island, even if they have to squash the cockroaches in their house. And is that the end of the article? Yes. Alright, should we just start here? Honestly, I played Animal Crossing. I played it on the GameCube, and I'm playing it on Pocket Camp. And if you played one Animal Crossing game, you played them all. So that's definitely not a top 10 game or must-play game for me. Forgotten Land, yes, definitely. Boom. Breath of the Wild, no. Go play Ocarina of Time. Metroid Prime, yes. That is a must-play, and hopefully Nintendo releases Metroid Prime Trilogy HD soon here. I mean, we need something to tide us over until Metroid Prime 4, and it would be nice to be able to play all of these games with a Pro Controller. Well, or a GameCube controller. It's Metroid Prime 3 Corruption that I want to play with a Pro Controller rather than the Wiimote. Although, if push comes to shove, I will be using the Wiimote and playing that before Prime comes out. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, yes. What can be said? The game is fantastic. It's the best Mario Kart game by sheer virtue of its number of tracks. I mean, Mario Kart 64 was the best game until this game released. And yeah, great game, must play. Smash, I can't disagree with this. I don't think it would be in my top 10 Nintendo games of all time. But yeah, definitely a must play for, and this is surely written for modern audiences. Although it does include a nod to Super Mario Brothers here, which I can't disagree with. But how are you going to include this and not include Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World on the list? Of course, then it would get to be like 4 games. I mean, they didn't include Odyssey either, and Odyssey is a fantastic game. And yeah, you can't just make an entire Mario list, but Pokemon, not Crystal, no. At least Ruby Sapphire. I could see the arguments for Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Gen 5 I don't like. Gen 7 I did like. Alola. That changed up the formula. Sword and Shield were okay. But yeah, I can't agree with Crystal being the nod there. Ocarina of Time, greatest game of all time. Yes, that is hands down must play. Mario 64. Yeah, I agree with this. But, yeah, it's interesting. They don't have a Punch-Out here. They don't have an F-Zero on the list. Definitely, I would put F-Zero GX up here. Whether you're a racing fan or not. I mean, the game is fantastic. Although, I guess it was a Sega-developed game, so maybe that's what they're counting. I'm not sure. So yeah, overall a decent list. Some of them I can't agree with. Super Metroid's not on the list. But it's going to be either Prime or Super Metroid. And again, this list does seem to be catered towards a modern audience, as it does have a 3D lean. But yeah, so that was CBR.com. I'll put the link in the description. 10 Nintendo games everyone should play at least once. Pretty good list. Again, put your list in the comments, which ones you agree with or disagree with. And thanks for watching. Until next time, have a good one.